feel like there should be an exclamation point. Oops. It's not doing it.
Update information at the bottom.
Usually I just press enter, but maybe that's what it posted. Let me check Twitter real quick. Oh, that's the go live notification. Oh, they changed it because there's a thing down here that usually says where I can just. Oh, it's on the other screen. Here we go. That's too long of a go live notification. So that's a tweet. It's too late anyway, but because it's on the channel menu. Serve myself cough. That's cool. All right, we are about there. All right. Anybody want to talk The Last Jedi with us?
That would be cool if you did.
You're not supposed to quote Dazed and Confused. I don't think you're cool enough.
I am cool enough.
I'll let you keep an eye on chat. All right. Be warned, we are going to spoil stuff.
We're going to spoil the S out of this S.
I cannot believe you're sitting right there. I just can't even get over it. You're so fucking annoying. Dude, you're so annoying. Okay. It wasn't. Oh. Okay, let's do this. Seriously? Killing me right now. All right, we are going to start this madness.
Blast came from the Death Star. That thing's operational.
Dr. Banner. Now might be a really good time for you to get angry.
That's my secret, Captain. I'm always angry.
Hello and welcome to episode 119 of the usual podcast. We discuss Star Wars: The Old Republic, the Star Wars franchise, and geek and pop culture. I'm your host, Marshall, and sitting awkwardly close to me is my co-host, Will. What's up, bro?
Well, we're not going to be talking about all that stuff tonight.
Yeah, but that's our intro.
Well, it is our intro.
This is a special episode. I like to start with our normal flow. But yes, this is a special episode. We are going to only be talking about Star Wars tonight. And we are only going to be talking about Star Wars The Last Jedi, which we literally got out of the theater about, 45 minutes ago. And we're ready to rock. Right, buddy?
Word.
Cool. So, first and foremost, dude, if you have not seen The Last Jedi, stop listening to the podcast if this is after the fact. And if you're watching live, it's in the tag. So there it is. So,
Spoilers.
Spoilers. So,
yeah, I went there.
this is going to be weird. And I'm speaking of weird, if you're tuning in live, why we're on the same camera is still beyond me, but he's sitting right next to me.
I didn't want to grab my laptop out of the RV.
Yeah, well, here we are.
Hey, I have no problem being close to you, friend.
I know, but I like looking at you when we talk, and now you're just like...
I'm gazing adoringly at you.
All right, so, my friend. I'll do all the outro stuff later. Oh, we lost our only guy. See? We lost it. All right, so here we go. Let's chat.
Yes.
What do we got? We saw a movie.
We went and saw the movie today. First of all, let's talk about the trailers we saw beforehand.
Oh yeah, we can do
saw
that.
Black Panther.
Black Panther trailer was sick.
We saw Infinity War. It was
Yep.
nice to see it up on the big screen.
Indeed.
We saw. I was actually surprised we did not get a Ready Player One trailer. Or Jurassic.
Were you though?
Or Jurassic World, because those are the two big trailers that just came out.
Yeah, but everything was all Disneyfied and Marvel-y.
Well, in that case, why didn't we get a premiere of Ant-Man?
I think it's too early.
I don't think so.
It doesn't come out till what? Late next year, right?
No, summer. Oh no, wait, no,
Yeah, so late next year.
July, I think. I don't know. I just thought it was weird.
Anyway, I like those trailers, but we had already seen them. The Black Panther one was the same, right?
Yeah, it's the same
Yeah,
one,
yeah.
but it was nice to see Infinity War up on the big screen.
Yeah, it was. Actually, that was really cool. And we went with some friends. Give our friends a shout out. We had our usual party. We had some folks over. We had some pizza. We had some beers.
Yep, we had some pizza. It was yummy.
Yep, it was awesome. It's Will's birthday tomorrow, so I got him a birthday pizza. We're
It
going
is.
to probably see The Last Jedi again tomorrow
Yep.
in 3D, but we saw it in 2D tonight. And let's talk about it, dude. So, shall we start with the story?
Actually, I want to interject one quick thing here.
We're never going to get through this. Just kidding. Go ahead, dude.
Freaking hate you.
Just kidding. Go ahead.
No, it's just we can't ignore the big news of the day is that the
I
Disney.
knew you were going to do this. Yeah.
I'm
Go
just
ahead.
going to say
No, please.
the
do it.
Disney Fox merger has gone through.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just big. I'm just saying it's gone through. We are aware of it. We will definitely be talking about it on our next episode. But I don't want you guys to think that we are out of the loop.
No, I mean we can talk about it for a second. The interesting thing though is when I did the intro, you're like, well, we're only going to be talking about the one thing, and then you were talking about something else now. So,
It's because I like messing you up.
so Fox merger happened, just like we had been talking about.
Yes.
So now we're gonna
$54 billion.
Yeah, that's a lot of money. So all that said, it happened exactly how we thought. They're going to get the Star Wars access. They're going to get the X-Men stuff. They're going to get all the things. So,
Yeah, there's just a little hiccup with some Fantastic Four stuff. There's a bit of a change to Iger's contract.
right.
A little bit of things, but we'll definitely be going over that in our next episode. But I just wanted to let you guys know that we do know that happened.
Oh, we definitely know. I mean, they know. We know.
Well, we can hope they know that we know.
We have our finger on the pulse, my friend.
We do?
No.
All right, so we went and saw Star Wars The Last Jedi
Yes,
today.
we did. We did. It happened. Finally. Oh, my God.
It was nice to see the crawl again.
Yes, it was. And it was simple. I mean, and it actually very much mirrored the way that Empire started. It was just like kind of like, well, they won. They're on the run. Here we are.
I will
know?
say that Ryan Johnson put his stamp on the filmmaking process immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Because normally we just get a simple pan to a starfighter or whatever, and then it cuts to an action sequence. What this did is we got the pan, and then we got a zoom
Yeah, we got a pan down and a zoom.
through a starfight, and it was just really cool. And then all of a sudden, Star Destroyers start coming out.
Yeah.
And that was really cool that it was all one.
Well, didn't they cut to
shot.
some characters and they said, and then they kind of looked up and they saw them appear, right? In the sky?
It might have been, but
Yeah.
but it was nice to not see a wipe cut in between.
No, exactly. Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, so but it was cool. I really enjoyed it, and Ryan Johnson is really good at his job.
Yeah, totally, man. All right. Sorry, I'm going to try not to cough in the mic. So, here we go, dude. Story-wise. We start off, I don't even know, dude. The movie was good. It was long, too.
It was 231 minutes.
I never really felt like it dragged, but it did have big chunks of time where there wasn't a lot of action, which is fine, and that's kind of how Empire was as well.
Right.
Empire starts off with a fight, and then there's a decent chunk where, especially when they're on the asteroid and everything else, that not a lot action-wise happens. But
Yeah, well, because you have to have this, just like in any second part of a trilogy or second act in a play or anything, you have a lot of character development in that point and story development.
so that's kind of where we're going to focus our stuff around, I think, is the characters, yeah?
Yeah, because that's really what it is. I mean, the story is a bridge, obviously, from the beginning to the end of the story. And there's a lot of, different plot points and everything, but this movie is almost entirely about character.
Exactly. All right, where do you want to start?
Let's start with the biggest MacGuffin in the Star Wars universe.
Snoke?
And that's Snoke. Don't get me wrong. He is an utter badass when he's on screen.
Oh man, he was sick. He's flinging people around. He's having his way with
Until
Rey and moving around and manipulating her, reading minds, all that kind of stuff.
Until the moment he literally narrates his own death.
Yeah, which is a really interesting thing. I didn't think it would go out like that, and so let's use that to talk kind of about Kylo too. Do you think?
Right.
I was thinking about this earlier before we started recording. The idea that so he is narrating his death,
Yes.
and so as he's basically talking to Kylo, trying to get him to kill Rey, he is behind his back moving the lightsaber just like he's saying, but the other lightsaber that's next to him that he insists is next to him, which is the one that Rey has,
Right.
and he ends up cutting him in Snoke in half, which is a really cool moment. But do you think that was Kylo's entire deal the whole time, was to take his place? Or do you think it was like, well, now that he's dead and you don't want to join me, let's do this thing?
No, I don't think he was good at all. When you
Kylo?
first, yeah, when you
Yeah,
first,
I don't think so either.
When you first see it, you're like, oh, he's, Rey's getting to him. He's turning to the light side.
Mm-hmm.
But for him to have pulled off that thing, it was complete and utter deception, and that is complete dark side.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So he couldn't have pulled that off convincingly enough for Snoke to believe him, unless he was being deceptive.
I agree. I love that about Kylo. I love that he didn't turn. I love that he is evil and is going to stay evil. And I didn't want to see a Kylo Ren redemption story.
No, you
I
can't.
never did. And people were talking about, there was obviously people on both sides of that, but I'm on the camp where he's evil. He turned, and even at some point towards the end, Leia says, "Yeah, no, I know when I've lost a son."
Exactly.
And he's gone.
The turning point for it was near the beginning of the movie, actually, after the first interaction between he and Snoke, when he calls him just a kid with a kid with a mask,
Right?
And he destroys the mask in the elevator or in the lift, and that's when he changes.
Right.
He realizes, I don't need to hide behind this anymore. I don't need to be the as Snoke put him, as the heir apparent to Vader.
Right.
He's Kylo, and he considered himself above all that now. And if you noticed, that tantrum that everybody gave him crap for in Force Awakens, he got that out of his system when he destroyed the helmet, and then he was Joe Smooth cool the rest of the film.
I liked Driver's performance was brilliant.
Yes.
The way he played that off, the way they did the scenes where they were talking kind of across the Force.
Yes.
Between Kylo and Rey, I really enjoyed the way they did that, because that was making you think that, well, he was manipulating her, obviously, but
right, but
he was also manipulating us.
we know that Snoke set that stuff up, but you know that Kylo did it.
Right. I'm trying to move this a little bit since. So I like that. Those scenes I thought were really good, especially once the hand touching scene happened, and then Luke comes down.
Luke comes in and destroys the
building. I mean, you start to see Luke's power, and I wonder, once Rey shows up, because she does kind of allude to the fact that, well, she goes, "You shut yourself off from the Force, didn't you?" And I'm wondering if until she showed up, he hadn't used the Force since that day.
No, because everything he did when he was fishing, when he was
milking
the beast, which was a really odd nipple scene.
Really weird, dude, with the nipples, and then he
and then
he's drinking and he
down
turns
his beard.
around. He's like, I'm like, oh, that was a little weird.
But it goes to show that every single thing he did was without use of the Force.
Exactly. Yeah. There was some really funny comedic moments, obviously, where
so many, which is great,
and they weren't like over the top, where she was just like, "I've seen your day, you're not busy. Like I've seen your mornings, you're not busy. Like you could help me."
Okay,
bro.
and I love how they didn't take the porg seriously.
Oh yeah, they're just
Chewbacca knocks him out of the side. Chewbacca's eating them.
Yeah, he's like, I really wanted him to take a bite. I wanted him to be like, you know what? Screw you, little guys. I'm gonna eat this because I'm hungry.
Okay, I love how Rey kept pissing off the caretakers.
Mm-hmm. I kind of wanted them to go back to that before she left. Just like one little either.
Like when the Millennium Falcon took off, the exhaust like took out a building or something.
Or yeah, just either one more FU to them, or like she could have done something to like help them. You know what I mean? Just to like round out that relationship. But again, a little bit of comedic effect, and also.
Well, we're gonna getting a little cart before the horse here, but she's gonna go back to that island to
Sure.
to take care of a couple things.
Yeah, and I think that's important. All right, where do you want to go next?
Luke.
Yeah.
And more importantly, Mark Hamill.
Yeah.
We already have the Golden Globe nominations out and everything, but dude, his performance is just as good, if not better, than Alec Guinness was in episode 4. And Alec Guinness got an Oscar nomination.
Yeah, and he played the mentor role really well, the reluctant mentor role really well.
But what I think really showed off his acting chops more than anything else were when Rey was getting both sides of the Fall of Ren story.
Oh, yeah.
And you could see the different. I mean, you saw either the vicious,
you saw the two versions of it.
Yeah, you saw the vicious Luke Skywalker, or you saw the conflicted Luke Skywalker. Right. And Hamill pulled both those off brilliantly.
Mm-hmm. The other thing I liked about his performance was it was not the Yoda scene.
Oh, yeah.
Because he played the mentor role really well, and when Yoda comes back as a Force ghost, when he's kind of blowing it with Rey, and he's decided he wants to burn the tree down and everything else, and so I like the fact that he was able to you kind of saw in his face that young Luke through the old Luke. Like, yes. He fell back into
his piercing blue eyes.
Yeah, he really fell back into the
farm boy.
Oh crap! I am just a stupid farm boy, and Yoda was right again.
I liked the near the end of the film where you saw him looking off at the single sun.
Yeah,
and it mirrored the binary, so you hear.
But there was two suns at some point. Did you see?
And you saw little hints of the binary sunset music from
it was
from episode 4.
And I was going to mention that too when we were going to talk about deaths later. But that was probably one of my favorite parts of the film. You could kind of feel it coming. I knew it wasn't going to be at the hand of Kylo Ren. When he comes back, and so basically what we're talking about. I mean, you've seen the movie if you're listening to us talk, so. Hopefully you know what we're talking about. But after he projects himself onto Crate,
which is cool. They actually went to Crate,
right? And faces off against Kylo. After he's done with that, he goes back into himself. He doesn't look great, but he's obviously extended himself. And then he looks up, he sees the sun, and then you see two suns. You hear the binary sunsets theme. And he goes out like Yoda and Obi-Wan just kind of puffs.
Well, like Yoda, not like Obi-Wan.
Obi-Wan let himself go too.
Well, yeah, but
he wasn't like actually cut in half.
Right, but
I kind of think of it the same way. But anyway, but he kind of just lets himself go, or actually dies and puffs into the Force, and that was a really cool moment. It wasn't like a I'm crying because Luke's gone moment. It was like makes sense kind of moment, you know?
Yeah, and talking about recurring themes, it was great when you finally saw Luke and Leia on screen together.
Yeah,
and it hinted at the Luke Leia theme from Jedi.
Mm-hmm. The music was spot on. They hit the themes. I love Rey's theme. It's still one of my favorite little new themes from this. But anyway, that's most of the music I think that caught me was those moments. So. Let's talk about Rey and Kylo's relationship a bit.
Yeah, and we already talked about their bridging of the minds and everything, but I think it was, and
I think we should probably look at it from Rey's side a little bit.
Yeah, well, no, exactly. That's what I'm going through. The most important lesson that Luke learned from Yoda in this movie was that the greatest teacher is failure.
Yeah.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And what I love is that even though Luke didn't actually get to talk to Rey again after that, Rey learned that lesson. Because
Absolutely.
Throughout all the things, she kept trying to say, I can save Ben, I can save Ben. And then at the very end, when they're doing their last... Okay, and this is the tricky part. They had their last mind bridge after Snoke died. So you know it wasn't all Snoke.
Right, and that was what I liked. I liked that they kept it.
But what it was is she was on the Millennium Falcon, and Ren was in the base, and he was looking up at her, and she just got this stone-cold face and closed the door.
Yeah, the door closed to sever it was pretty sick.
And you know that she knows that she failed, but that she learned from it.
Exactly. And I don't think she's broken up over it. She knows
Oh, no.
that was it. That was all that she could have done to maybe save him. But also the fact that he was never really available to be saved. And I think that was, if anything, this movie did, which I appreciate, being a lover of the dark side is a bad phrasing, but it solidified the fact that once he killed Han Solo, he turned and he was not coming back. And,
Absolutely.
I really hope they stay with that in episode 9. And I think that's important. They are the pinnacle of the light and the dark now. And then let's not forget when we talk about other characters, that kid at the end.
Yeah, okay. There's also a couple of cues that we got back to the prequels.
Yeah.
Which I didn't much care for. But it kind of like they were kind of done tongue in cheek.
Yeah.
When if you want to call them racehorses from Canto Bight were released.
Right.
And the kid let out the whoop. Very similar to
Anakin. Like the pod race stuff.
Now this is pod racing.
Yeah, exactly. So that aside, there is the very last one of the was that the last scene with the kid?
Yeah.
The very last moment. So obviously they did that. So there's this kid that you see earlier in the movie
on Canto Bight.
On Canto Bight, the gambler planet or whatever, and their slave master comes out, yells at him. He goes out and he has to sweep, right? And it's very subtle, but
he comes out the door. He reaches for the broom.
Reaches for a broom, but pulls it with the force. Obviously, it's only a few inches, but it's subtle. But again, it shows that this kid obviously is force sensitive.
Well, he was also the one telling the story to the other kids of Luke Skywalker.
Oh, I thought it was the other kid.
I think it was him.
I thought it was we'll have to double check that tomorrow because I think it was the other kid. But anyway, long and the short of it is, this obviously is on purpose to show that, okay, the Force isn't dead in the universe. There are other people out there, and maybe the Jedi can come back, I guess. Is that the only reasoning behind this, or was it really just hey, remember this from the prequels, kind of, there are kids out there with Force powers? Or,
no, honestly, I think it could do a couple of things. And I don't think... Okay, this is one thing that I think Lucas did well in his original telling of the first trilogy. That he could just do stuff and not have an end point.
Right.
And just let it play out. And I think that's what Rian Johnson was doing with this. I don't think there's anything specific about that kid right now.
Well...
Okay, but in the silhouette at the end, he's obviously holding the broom like a lightsaber, and it's meant to look that way. Because the bristles actually disappear behind his back, so you don't see it.
Right.
But if they want to bring in, say, Kip Duron or... one of these force-sensitive people that learned under Luke at the end, and just kind of play off that sort of role,
right?
They can bring that in.
Well, there's also a couple of other options. Obviously, Rian Johnson's in charge of another trilogy. Maybe this kid has something to do with it.
Exactly.
There's also the idea that just honestly that the Force is out there and the Resistance isn't.
Well, the most important thing is what Luke's last line was. He goes, "Everything you said is wrong. I'm not the last Jedi."
Right. So anyway, let's not talk about that kid anymore.
Exactly.
So Kylo and Rey, are we done with them?
Yeah.
Okay. Leia was
a badass.
Awesome. Early on in the movie, earlier than I thought, we see her and Akbar and some other main characters killed, pulled out of the ship by not Kylo Ren. He doesn't.
No, he actually couldn't pull the trigger.
He doesn't pull the trigger, which is interesting. And I think it's only because Leia.
Yes.
If it wasn't Leia, I think he would have pulled the trigger. But his, I don't know, his wingman, I guess, or whatever,
right.
Pull the trigger, blow the command bridge, and they're sucked out into space.
Yes.
Leia does one of the most badass things I think I've seen in Star Wars, where she just, I don't know, sucks herself back in with the Force.
Yeah, basically she uses her hand, instead of pulling. Okay, what I love is it's in space, so you really don't know what's happening.
Right.
So it theoretically could have been her pulling herself to the door, or she could have been pulling the big freaking ship to her.
Yeah. I like the latter better, but I think the former is what they were doing.
Right, because you do see a parallel shot, and she's flying through debris.
Right.
I really wish it was the other way.
I wish it was the other way around too, but she saves herself.
Yes.
But we lost Akbar, which is a bummer because I love Admiral Akbar.
Yeah.
But but she's out of the fight for a bit, and then she comes back at a pretty cool moment. But her successor in command is
Vice Admiral, and it's played by Laura Dern.
That's it, Laura Dern. I was trying to remember her name.
She played Elsie in Jurassic Park.
That's right. Okay, so Laura Dern. What's her
Vice
character name?
Admiral. Vice Admiral.
It starts with H.
I can't remember.
Anyway, point is she takes over, and obviously she has a conflict with Poe. Poe had a conflict with Leia previously. What is that about?
It was completely setting it up for the ending when Poe is in command.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't get any more clear when he's like saying, "All right, follow me," and then everyone looks to Leia and she goes, "What are you looking at me for? Follow him."
Right. And right before that too, when they're in the ships and he says, "Everybody peel off. This is a suicide mission. We're all going to die. Let me save some people."
Right.
And then
it mirrored what happened at the beginning.
It mirrored the beginning of the film, but at that same time, that shows something about Finn too. He's willing to give himself for the Resistance, despite what his conflicts in Episode 7.
Exactly. What I also loved is when the Vice Admiral is sacrificing herself, and they both say that they both enjoyed the insubordination of Poe.
Yeah, and that was nice. They were like, "Yeah, I like that guy.
You could tell he's going to be general in the next episode.
Exactly." Also, the relationship, real quick, with Rose and Finn blossomed right at the end there. It was very subtle, kind of nice.
Yeah, the thing is, I don't think Finn has ever felt romantic about anybody, and he still hadn't up until that moment.
Like, the moment she kissed him, he's like, "Oh, wait a minute."
You have to remember, he had been raised a stormtrooper.
Yeah.
Raised to be a stormtrooper, right. So he didn't have that luxury.
Right, and I really did like that.
That
dynamic. And I liked that it was clear that she liked him, and they were fighting together, and they didn't have time for any of that stuff, and it was very much like, Han and Leia in Episode 5. They had that one kiss on the Falcon, and that's about it.
Right.
And then you don't really see anything else till Episode 7 or 6. Excuse me. But yeah, it was kind of nice. Like, we saved the ones we love. That Rose had some cool lines. She was a cool character, actually. I liked her a little more than I thought.
I thought she was a good catalyst.
Yeah.
Which was nice.
Yeah.
And that's actually a great segue. Let's talk about the supporting characters.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've already talked about Rose a little bit. We've talked about Laura Dern's character a little bit. What do you think of Guillermo del Toro?
Loved him. I loved the way he played the character. I love that man, first of all. Yeah. I love del Toro. But the every once in a while stutter, and the fact that he basically played Lando Calrissian.
Yes.
But never came back?
Yes.
Which I really like. So he betrays them. He's on their side, betrays them, and betrays them. I just
who you
I was okay with
more
that.
of is the guy that Ezra likes in Rebels that nobody else does. The scoundrel.
What was his name? It's yeah, no one else likes him. I'll think of it in a minute. Hondo.
Yes, Hondo.
Yeah, Hondo. I love that character. I like how he played him. Again, I like how they meet him. And it just makes sense. You meet that kind of character on that planet, and he is going to get what he can get.
Exactly.
And I think he was honest the entire time. He was willing to help them. And then, as he said to them, he said, "Well, we got captured, and I made a deal.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go."
Exactly.
And I think that was perfect. I loved it.
So all the supporting characters are cool. One thing I liked is that it was kind of cool that in Episode 7 we saw like little hints of, and we saw C-3PO and R2-D2 a bit. We saw Nyum Nub come back a bit and everything.
Right.
Well, we saw Nyum Nub here too.
Mm-hmm.
Ello Asti from the Rogue Squadron showed up here, and you actually see Poe
hug him at the end. Yeah, that was
good. Very cool. So I enjoyed that.
Yeah. Other supporting characters. The BB-9E was played up way more than
I know. I remember seeing something in the news that we were going to see a showdown between BB-8 and BB-9E, and it so didn't show up.
I thought about that too, and I think all that really it was BB-9E scanned. He did some scanning.
Yeah.
That's it. Scanned him. He knew there was a BB unit under there, which is probably why they got captured, but it's never really comes to light, and that's
No.
about it.
Yeah.
So, which is fine. I mean, again, I'm okay with that because I didn't want to see robots fighting, really. But
Exactly.
that's just me.
Well, we got a little bit more Phasma in this one.
We did. I can't imagine her being dead, but
I don't know.
she looks kind of dead.
I will say that Gwendolyn Christie did the most with one eye
Right?
than anybody did with most of their bodies.
She's
in the
such a
movie.
good actress, dude.
She
and
is.
I just wish that she could have not had the helmet on at some point. I think if she comes back in 9, she won't have the helmet at that point. And I don't know. By then, I think her and Finn need to I don't know, have sex or something.
I know, right?
I mean, there's such a rivalry there now. It's like they either need to kill each other or bone down. I don't know what to do about that. But
Exactly.
the fight scene, I liked how short it was.
Yes.
It made
Wasn't
sense.
drawn out.
Yeah. I also like how he just popped back up.
Yes.
Which was kind of cool. And then kind of took her out. But yeah, I don't know if she's dead or not. I don't know if it matters. Again, I don't know. Bad guys seem to die in this movie. And it was just kind of like, okay, well, they're dead now.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, let's talk about who we lost. We
Yeah.
lost Luke. We lost theoretically Phasma. We lost Snoke.
Right.
We lost Akbar.
Right. That's about it. Right.
Those are the biggies.
Those are the big ones. Obviously, we lost plenty of resistance fighters. A lot of resistance.
A lot of resistance.
Like,
fighters.
we're basically left with a handful of people at the end.
Oh, exactly. Enough to fit on the Falcon.
Yeah, which
I'm saying maybe less than 20.
which I really like because what that shows is how not only their forces are depleted, but just how desperate they're going to have to be at this point.
Yes.
Because that's all they have. I mean, how are, I don't know, 20, 25 people going to fight the resistance?
Exactly.
You know, and that's what a middle movie in the Star Wars universe should feel like at the end. We lost a lot of people. We have just a smidgen of hope, but we have a huge hill to climb, and I think that's important.
Really quick, talking about supporting characters, we can't underestimate the importance of giving Billy Lord some lines.
I was just gonna say we gotta talk about that.
She was great. Not only was she given lines, but she was given an intricate part of Finn's plan.
Yeah,
Or not Finn's plan, of Poe's execution of Finn's plan.
absolutely.
To try to do what he did, which ultimately failed. But
Right. I think that's in light of Carrie Fisher's death, seeing Billy Lord on screen, not only with her mom, but also in the franchise that her mom helped create,
yes,
was really important. And I really enjoyed seeing her on screen, and she did a good job. And I hope to see her.
and she's one of the survivors. So
Yeah, hope to see her in 9 and
she's gonna
beyond,
be because 9 was supposed to be. I mean, this was supposed to be about Luke, and 9 was supposed to be about Leia. Really,
Yeah.
I'm hoping they give her a lot of that storyline.
Well, and what also was were you
Well, no,
were you a little surprised that they didn't actually close out Leia?
No, I'm not.
You're not. Okay. I was under the impression that what's up, Mox? I know you can't see Will because someone didn't bring his laptop and we're sharing a camera and it's dumb. But we're almost done anyway. How you doing, buddy? Did you see the movie tonight? Tell us you saw the movie because we're gonna keep talking about the movie and
That's me. Okay, good.
oh, good. All right.
Yeah, I will say that.
Okay.
She's gonna get more lines, and I'm not surprised that they didn't close out the Leia storyline because they've got some stuff on some footage that they didn't use that they're gonna splice into 9.
Right.
But it's.
I got the impression they were going to close out the Leia storyline because after post her death, I thought they went back and kind of fix something.
Okay, and this is thank you for the setup because you totally set me up for what I think the ultimate thing that this movie did is it. The thing that I think this movie did perfectly is it didn't settle itself for expectations.
Right.
Because the one thing that most people didn't like about Force Awakens was it was such a mirror image of A New Hope.
Right.
And yeah, this did have, instances that mirrored Empire. But the biggest thing is like, okay, Snoke is the big bad. We're going to kill him. Okay? The Kylo Ren is going to get redeemed. No, he's a baddie. Okay? we're gonna tie up the Leia storyline because she's dead. Nope, we're gonna just let it play out.
Right.
Like every single thing they did was against expectations.
Well, and speaking of mirroring episode 5, I'm glad you said that because that reminded me of something I thought of during the film. Obviously, there was a mirror of the cave.
Oh, absolutely.
From episode 5, which I think was probably the most important thing to fully deal with.
Yes.
She went in without her master's knowledge and
Right.
whatever else, or blessing, whatever you want to say, and she saw herself, and there was that weird snapping, and I thought that was really cool the way they did.
That was very cool.
All the versions of herself, and then at the end, she's like, "I want to see my parents," which we need to talk about in a second.
Yes.
I want to see my parents, but she only saw herself.
Exactly.
Right? And obviously, from episode 5, Luke ultimately cuts the head of Vader off and sees himself.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so the cave shows you what you want to see. And I don't know, man. I think this is. I just really, 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 really liked that part that they took from episode 5. That cave scene. I thought that was really a necessary and important touch. Let's talk about Rey's parentage before you forget.
This is the other thing is that
What's up, JT?
about going against its expectations that I loved is that
She's a clown.
is that the expectation was, oh, she's a Kenobi, she's a Skywalker,
She has to
Solo.
be somebody.
Exactly, and that I love is they didn't. Like, she is nobody.
And I figured that's the way they were going to go. And I'm glad they stayed with it and didn't change it despite all the theories and stuff out there. Like, the fact it doesn't matter who she is. And I like that Kylo makes her say it. I love that scene. And that, going back to what we were talking about earlier, those two together, like, Rey finally sitting there and saying to herself, my parents are nobody. And then he says, yeah, they're just junkers. They sold you off for booze, basically, right?
Yeah,
and it's
but
like,
what I love is the line that he said, he said, you're not part of this story.
Right. And that's a really almost fourth wall kind of thing too.
Yes.
It's like you're not part of the Skywalker line. You're not part of anything. You just happen to show up and have force powers. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I think him making her say that and her basically admitting to herself, like, what was I waiting for all that time? Like, I should have I'm going to make something of myself now because it doesn't matter who my parents are. My parents are nothing. I'm nothing, but I am something because of what I can do, which I thought was cool. So,
JT, I don't think so. I think if she really is nobody.
No, she's nobody.
If they bring it up that she actually is somebody, I'm going to be very disappointed.
No, I think that they need to stay with the fact that she's nobody. Yeah. Going back on it would just be kind of weird, I think. But also I think it fits. I think it fits her character too. The fact that she's sitting around waiting for, alcoholic gamblers to come back for her, and the whole time, Unkar plot obviously knows. And everybody knows, and she's just nothing. She's okay. So she has force powers. She happens to be force sensitive, like homeboy, like Anakin, right? Anakin was a Skywalker, obviously, but that's the beginning of it. He was a slave. You also have the dude, the little kid at the end, who's obviously nobody, but
which
has force powers.
Question we did talk about it earlier, and then I haven't read the book, but who the hell's Kenobi's parents?
Yeah,
where did Kenobi get his powers? How about Qui-Gon?
Yeah, I mean, look, but when the Jedi were a thing, they would take force sensitive children from their nobody parents,
exactly.
and make them somebody, So I think that's important.
Exactly.
Anakin had no dad. Well, then there's that, which we were playing a lot of trivia earlier.
Excuse me, his dad was midichlorians.
Yeah, well, here we are. Thank God they didn't mention that. Right, I was like, at some point, there was a moment where Luke could have said something, right?
Could've. And actually, going back on how Rey is nobody. Who the hell's Snoke? He ended up being nobody.
Nobody, and he's dead.
Hella
dead, which was hilarious.
It was great.
I'm glad he got cut the same way like Maul did too.
Yes.
That was nice. All right.
And I loved it at the very end when Hux comes up to the thing. He's like, "What the hell happened here?" And you're almost expecting, because you see Snoke is dead on the ground with his tongue hanging out.
I
You're
know,
almost
right?
expecting him to wake up, and then it pans out, and you just see the lower half of his body fall off the throne.
Like I said, there was some comedic moments I think that were pretty on point. All right, man. So what else do we have left? What else have we talked about? Just overall, like, favorite moments, or
I liked the entire movie.
yeah, me too.
What I love is like I'm gonna keep going back to the fact that it played off expectations, because it couldn't live up to everything that Force Awakens did, because I mean it's the second child, you know what I mean, and so it didn't. It's like you said, we are what we are.
Right. Chat room, feel free to chime in. Let us know what you thought. Overall, I enjoyed it as well, but I think some of my favorite moments, I think, are still with Rey and Kylo. I really think that relationship was done really, really well. Also, I like the Luke and Rey relationship on the island. I think, although it was a little slow in the beginning, just the mundane stuff that he did every day, and her just like waiting around was very much almost like, think about Doctor Strange, for example. Like, he's sitting out on the doorstep waiting to be admitted in, and she's waiting to be admitted in, and he's going about his day. Go away, I don't want you here. Not only is his performance as a reluctant mentor really well done, but she does a really good job of poking and prodding at him. And then at the same time, that moment where he almost walks in on them, and it's almost awkward.
Yes.
You know? And then literally blows the roof off, and then that's the kind of a turning point. I think that's
I'm sorry.
really good.
I'm going to say it again. I could have done without the weird nipple scene.
The weird nipple scene, I think, was
funny but weird.
Super weird, man. There was a couple moments. So there was that. All right, so those are the things I liked a lot.
But I have to talk with the chat room, because I actually disagree with both of you guys. I loved the Leia in space part. Yeah.
And I was just gonna say, probably my favorite part of the movie is Luke's projection of himself to the planet. And I told my wife at some point, I was just like, I was trying to figure out why he was young looking, and why he had a brown beard. She's all, "What do you mean?" And I was like, "What do you mean? What I mean?" When they went back, he was super gray, longer hair.
Yep.
It was almost like his his Return of the Jedi self, a little older, projected. But you said it. It was Ben's version of him.
Exactly.
That
he projected to himself what Ben remembered.
Exactly. So I thought that was pretty cool. And that last fight where I don't know, cinematography is probably the right word, but just the way it was shot.
Yes.
Them on opposite sides, back and forth a couple times, the conversation.
The Matrix move.
Yeah. Oh, the Matrix move was so sick, dude. I didn't think they could pull off a Matrix move again, but that was the Matrix move with lightsabers? Oh, badass.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really enjoyed that last scene. But anyway, what else? Anything we didn't like? Is that what you want to do?
Anything I didn't like.
Besides the weird nipple scene?
Yeah, the weird nipple scene was weird.
He went to great clips. Yeah. I was like, oh, he got a haircut? Oh, he dyed his beard too. Interesting.
Yeah, no, there really was. That's the thing. It's like there weren't any like super high moments that I loved.
Yeah.
But there was no, Vader going down the hallway at the end of Rogue One, right? But there was no low points for me.
Right. Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, the light speed in the Snoke ship was pretty sick.
God. Okay, yes, that was the most beautiful shot that Ryan Johnson
really nice
pulled
shot.
off.
Yeah.
It was so beautiful.
Yeah, that was really well done. And there were some moments where I was like, "Oh, that's badass!" Like there was that one. I don't know. There was a few others where I felt that way, but overall, like, it was dark enough. It was a great middle movie, I think. I can't wait to see what they're gonna do with 9. And I think it answers. I'm pretty sure it answers every question from episode 7. The major lingering question was really her parentage, and I don't really feel like that ever mattered or should matter. And I think the way it played out with their relationship was perfect.
Exactly. It shows that it really doesn't matter.
We talked about earlier, Mox. I don't think Phasma's dead. I wouldn't be surprised if they let her go, but I think she will come back in 9. And my joke earlier was she'll come back and like by then her and Finn will just I don't know have sex or something like.
Okay, imagine this because she obviously falls into some burning thing. What if she gets a respirator sort of thing on and she becomes Kylo's enforcer?
I'd be so sick, dude.
I mean, she's obviously not
I'm in.
force sensitive, but she could be.
No, but what? So the Praetorian Guard are gone
Exactly.
too. She might start up an elite force alongside him. I'm in on that. I think that's
cool.
badass.
And JT, we know that I'm never wrong.
Well, you say that, but yeah, Kylo is very quickly becoming my favorite.
Now that he's not a whiny bitch.
I mean, I'm glad that, and we said this earlier. I'm really glad that he's dark. He's staying dark.
He's not reading.
He's not going to turn. And he's ready to take what he felt his grandfather should have done in the first place, and I think that's important.
Exactly.
So anyway,
I think it's about time we should wrap this up.
yeah, let's wrap it up, man. I'm glad you guys joined us. You guys must be fresh off the movie too, or what?
Oh, they're a couple hours ahead of us.
Oh, you are a couple. Oh, I forgot you're in the future. Anyway, I'm
not
glad.
as far in the future as Jess.
Good point.
She saw it
She saw it
yesterday.
like yesterday. Yeah, we can't. Yeah, JT, that's a good point, man. I can see why Rian Johnson's going to get a new franchise to himself. I think he's going to do really well with it.
Absolutely.
And that's the last thing in our notes. Actually, is going forward, episode 9 and beyond. Yeah, I think Rian Johnson did a really good job with this film, and he deserves all the accolades he's going to end up getting, regardless. But yeah, but getting his own franchise, that makes a lot of sense. He obviously plays nice with the higher ups,
Yep.
but he's good at what he does.
He is really good.
Yeah.
I can kind of see is him kind of taking on the Feige role for Star Wars.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Especially if we're getting a Star Wars movie every year. Do you think, just real quick, do you think they're going to continue with the anthologies, or do you think they're going to eventually just get into trilogies, or what? I mean, I'm
I think
wondering.
they're going to stick with the trilogy and the anthologies on.
They're just going to keep
Yeah.
doing that? Okay. We'll see. They do have a few more planned, but I'm wondering after those, if they get enough kind of banked, if they're going to continue with them. But
Yeah, well, I mean, you don't necessarily have to do. You could do duologies. You could do.
That's true.
Whatever you want.
True. All right, man.
Yeah, no, that's it. I do want to say. No, I'll wait for it until you do the outro.
Okay. All right, guys. So we are going to take off. We're going to actually, excuse me. I'm still coming off of, 160 Days to Han Solo. We're going to see the movie again tomorrow night.
3D.
In 3D. And, if we have any more insights on episode 120, we'll talk about those. And we did talk at the top of the show about Fox acquiring Disney as well. So we'll talk more about that next week as well. So
Absolutely.
I am excited for all the things.
There's so much stuff going on. Yes.
Are you excited for any things?
I'm excited for lots of things. I'm excited for eventually. Actually, I was talking about this with Eddie earlier.
Thanks, JT.
That I actually think that because we're just now going to start learning about Marvel Phase 4. I think Phase 4 is going to set up the Secret Wars, and Phase 5 is going to end up with the Avengers versus X-Men.
Oh, interesting. That would be sick.
Yeah.
And to answer Mox's question, yes, we always make out in the theater. So thanks for tuning in to The Usual Podcast. If you have comments or questions, get your hands off me. You can find us at theusualpodcast.com. Email us at theusualpodcast@gmail.com. And we're on Facebook, Google+, Pinterest, Instagram, Twitch, and YouTube. I am at Darth Pops on Twitter, and Will is at Amro Griggs. We're on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, Google Play. Take the time, give us positive ratings and all that kind of stuff. Like us, share us, and tell your friends.
Don't forget, you can now go to teespring.com/theusualpodcast and get your very own official Tupperware. Thank you, Mox, for that. But it's the official The Usual Podcast gear. And pick up your t-shirt or sticker and help support us that way and get yourself some nice swag.
Yep. Other ways to support the show, patreon.com/usualpodcast. You can give us $1 or $2 an episode. You get extras like trailer time and access to the shows early and blooper reels, of course. And then audibletrial.com/usual podcast audiobook for free on us. We get some money, you get a free book, and all the things are good.
Yeah, you can get the new Canto Bite book and learn all about that planet.
Indeed. Learn about the things and stuff.
Yep.
All right, my friend. Let's get out of here. I'm tired.
Let's everyone just make sure you have fun.
Have fun. We'll see y'all next week.
Peace.
Thanks for joining us, guys. That was awesome. Glad y'all were able to make it. Also, if JT and or Mox are still there, I'm taking Will out tomorrow night for his birthday, so I'll probably miss Wog. I hate to tell you, but I'll put it in the chat and stuff. I really want to get that damn hut down, but I might be talking to myself, but no big deal. But I'll let you guys know. Oh, you're there. Oh, how nice. Yeah, so I thought I'd let you know while you were listening to me awkwardly, because I'm gonna turn off the thing. Well, I figured it's also Star Wars Day anyway. People are going to go see the movie, right? Don't hate me. It's his birthday. I told him I'd take him to dinner and a movie. I'll hold my making out, though, for next time. All right, guys. I'll catch y'all later. Thanks for joining us.